Mày bật AC đi, đợi anh tí. Còn thiếu ai nhở? Vẫn thiếu hai à? Dù có ai... Facebook của Thành béo là gì nhở?
Tuấn Thành.
Cái gì? Tuấn Thành á?
Tuấn Thanh, đúng rồi, Tuấn Thành.
Có dấu không? Mày nhắn thằng cây dây hỏi nó chơi không?
Em hả?
Tao đéo Facebook
Em
nó
đâu
thì
có kết
phải.
bạn đâu.
Cái đây. Thằng con vợ này AFK rồi. À đâu không rồi. Thiếu đối rồi. Shit bro. Hai nữa là chúng ta có một đội 5 tuyển 5 hàng tuyển. Go. Em bet king right now. Cộng 2. Căng hen. Căng hen nha anh em ơi, căng hen. Mi cham là cái trò gì?
Today I'm going to teach you what I simply Bonjour mes amis, bienvenue. Hey guys, welcome back to the Language Tutor French series. As you know, this is part 4 in a 4-video series designed just to build your vocabulary skills.
L'onglet. L'onglet.
Here goes our first one. The first one is tennis. And tennis in French is le tennis. Le tennis. And golf, this is not a very difficult one. It is le golf. And golf, this is not a very difficult one. It is le golf. Le golf. Now, let's talk about soccer. We know how popular soccer is in Central South America, Europe. And so in French, they would many times just say le foot. Le foot. Now, soccer is also called football. We know that. And so when we're talking about American football, with soccer, you may hear le football also, but usually with American football, we're going to see le football américain. Le football américain. All right, now baseball is up next, and baseball is really easy because it looks just like it does in English, and so does basketball. So baseball is going to be le baseball. le baseball. And basketball, you're probably guessing it is le basketball, le basketball. Now you might also hear le basket, and that's just a short way of saying the same thing. All right, hockey is also easy. It's le hockey, and so a lot of these you're already seeing they're using the English word for it. And it's going to be the same way with this one, which is volleyball. It's le volleyball. It's going to be the same way with this one, which is volleyball. It's le volleyball. Le volleyball. Now, you might also just hear some people say le volley, le volley, keeping it simple. Okay, up next, we talk about rugby since we're doing sports. Le rugby. Le rugby. And cricket is easy as well as le cricket. Le cricket. All right, and there are some people who like field hockey as well. Cricket. All right, and there are some people who like field hockey as well. So we'll just bring that in while we're here. It's le hockey sur gazon. Le hockey sur gazon. All right, now here's a good one. Running. A lot of people like running. That is la course. La course. And this one is definitely a workout. Dancing is la danse. La danse. That is definitely a workout, believe me. Up next is boxing, and that is pretty easy. It's la boxe. La boxe. And here's another one that gives you a good workout. Gymnastics is la gymnastique. And here's another is pretty easy. It's la boxe. La boxe. And here's another one that gives you a good workout. Gymnastics is la gymnastics. And here's another one that gives you a good workout. Gymnastics is la gymnastique. La gymnastique. Wrestling is la lutte. La lutte. Hiking is la randonnée. La randonnée. Rowing is l'aviron. L'aviron. Cycling, biking, cycling, it can be le cyclisme. Le cyclisme. And you might also hear people say le vélo, which means bike. So, but they can use it as an actual sport. Also hear people say le vélo, which means bike. So, but they can use it as an actual sport as well. All right, track and field is l'athlétisme. L'athlétisme. It's a big word. Bodybuilding. L'athlétisme. It's a big word. Word. Bodybuilding is la musculation. It's a big word. Bodybuilding is la musculation. La It's a big word. Bodybuilding is la musculation. La musculation. Horseback riding is l'équitation. L'équitation. Martial arts is les arts martiaux. Les arts martiaux. Skating is le patinage. Le patinage. Table tennis is pretty easy to figure this one out if you know tennis. Le tennis de table. Le tennis de table. Water skiing is le ski nautique. Le ski nautique. And let's do a couple more. Le ski nautique. And let's do a couple more. Diving is la plongée. La plongée. okay? And with that, Miss Amy, that wraps up this very short sports episode. I hope it's really helped you out with your conversation. And I just want to say I appreciate your support, and check us out on the podcasts and Instagram and Facebook and definitely on the website. So I will see you soon on the next episode. We'll jump into a new tense next time.
If you're still typing your coding prompts, you're leaving performance on the table. You're prompting Cursor over 100 times a day, but typing
Pin lithium ion cao cấp đạt tiêu chuẩn chống nước IP67. Pin dễ dàng tháo rời và có thể sạc mọi lúc mọi nơi theo hai cách: sạc qua cổng sạc trên xe, hoặc bạn có thể sạc trực tiếp lên pin.
The power of dreams.
Bonjour, mes amis, bienvenue. Hey, friends, and welcome back to the Language Tutor French series. I'm Danny Evans, and I have a really cool lesson for you today. You know, so far we've learned the present tense in French. We've learned the past tense, the passé con passé, something has happened. Well, over the next few lessons, I want to bring you some new tenses, and that's what I want to do in this lesson is the imperfect tense, because we use the imperfect in conversations all the time. And so I think it's really a great idea to understand it. So here we go, guys. Let's jump right in to the imperfect tense. Now, I first want to just tell you what the imperfect tense is, okay? Now, the imperfect tense, it happened in the past, just like the passé con passé. When I say I ate or she worked, those kinds of things, those happened in the past. It's done and it's over with. And we use the passé con passé, which is, saying the verb avoir, and then you're putting it with the past participle. And in some cases, être in the past participle. This is going to be different. I want to explain the difference between what we've already learned and what we're learning now. Before, when we did the past tense, like I said, it was done, over with. It happened, done, over with. This is a little different in the imperfect tense because this has a different connotation. It still happened in the past, but this is different. And here are some things I want to show you about this. Now, look here. First of all, the imperfect in French is called l'imparfait. L'imparfait, the imperfect, okay? Now, the imperfect, l'imparfait, describes past actions, ongoing actions, okay, repeated actions, and anytime you would say used to do something. Like we use in English, we say used to do something. We use the imperfect tense to say that in French. And in some cases would. Now, we will get to conditional tense later, but these are the situations that we could use the imperfect in French. Now, again, look at this. It's ongoing. It's repeated. Okay, so that's the difference. This is something in the past that just was continuous. Okay, I give an example. If I say I lived in France during my childhood, that would be imperfect because it was ongoing in the past. It wasn't, I didn't specify a specific time period. It was just ongoing. All right. If I were to say this, I used to work there. I used to work there. Now, see, that was ongoing. It was habitual. It was repeated. That could be the imperfect as well. Now, also, I want to show you this. When you have ing and a was or were in the past like this, we were talking. Now, see, that was something ongoing. Some people call this the past progressive. The present progressive is doing something now in English. She is talking. Okay, but then the past progressive is she was talking or we were talking. That was ongoing. Now, we want to say an ing like this in the past tense. We can use imperfect for that as well. All right. Now, to show you how we do this, let's put up the chart. Now, first of all, I want to tell you that we have to get a root form. In just a second, we're going to put some endings on this verb, okay? And those endings are going to make it imperfect. But first of all, we can't just do what we normally do and take this off and add an ending. We have to get the right root word. And for this root, we're going to use the nu form up in the top right. That's where we put everything that has to do with us, we. We're going to use that root, okay? So we take that verb that we would normally put up there in that top right section, and we're going to use that root, and we're going to put an ending on it, okay? So I want to just give you an example of how we can do that, but I first really just want to give you the endings, because I think once you know the endings and then we see it in context, you can start putting this together very easily, all right? So let's get the endings. First of all, the ending up here in the top left is going to be AIS, okay? And then the du form is going to be the same thing. A lot of times they share the same kind of endings, right? So it's going to be AIS just like that top version. Now, the bottom left, the il, elle, and on form is going to be AIT, which should be no surprise to you based on what we've learned in the past. Up in the top right, the nu ending is going to be ion, which is IONS.
With 40% off Coursera Plus, you can save on skills that open new doors. This Black Friday, unlock over 10,000 programs and experience learning that's unlimited. Build any skill with Black Friday savings on Coursera Plus.
Now, based on that, you may be able to guess what the vul form is. It is IEZ. All right, and now that leaves us with one more. It's going to be like the other ones kind of, but we'll put that ENT on it. It's AIENT. Okay. Now that we have an example, I want to use the verb finir. Finir, to finish. I want to use this one as an example of how we put it into the imperfect. Now, typically, we would take that nous ending up there in the present tense would be finissons, right? I won't spell it out, it's too long, but yeah, finissons ending in O-N-S. But what we want to do is take that root up there and we want to add this ending to it, I-O-N-S. Okay, so let's do each one of these conjugations. First of all, the je form, we're going to take that root and it would be finissait. Finissait. That would be the root of nous in the present, and we would put the ending on it. Okay, so we're just kind of manipulating that nous form. Not a big deal. Now the tu form is going to be the same thing. It's got the same ending on it, everything. Okay, finissait. First of all, so let's do each one of these conjugations. First of all, the je form, we're going to take that root and it would be finissait. Finissait. That would be the root of nous in the present, and we would put the ending on it. Okay, so we're just kind of manipulating that nous form. Not a big deal. Now the tu form is going to be the same thing. It's got the same ending on it, everything. So it still ends in AIS. In the bottom left, the il, elle, and on form, we're putting that AIT on it. And then, as we said, we're going to go up there and put the ending on the nous form, which would be IONS, nous finissions. Okay, and then the vous form, same thing, put the IEZ on it. And then we have the vous finissiez. And then we have the il and elle form, which we're putting AIENT. So that's all we had to do, my friends, is we took the nous form, we took off that normal ending in the present tense, and we applied a new set of endings, and that became our root for each one of these. And so now we have finir in the imperfect tense. So this means I used to finish, I was finishing, I finished in an ongoing way in the past. I mean, it's all the same. Either way, it was ongoing. Now, I want to show you the verb être. Être is not going to use, we always got to have a troublemaker, right? So we know that nous in the present tense is nous sommes. It's actually going to use its infinitive root, et. So we put et, and then so this is what the être form will look like, était. So this is what the être form will look like, était, était, il, elle, on, était, and nous étions, vous étiez, and ils étaient, and elles étaient. All right, and so that becomes our imperfect form of être, to be. All right, just keep that in mind. It's a little different, but typically we can just take that nous root, put the ending on it, and there you go. Let's do some examples now. Now that we have our basics down, let's do some examples. I want to use 3 sentences. Example, nous étaient, and ils étaient look like était, était, ils, elles, on, étaient, and nous étions, vous étiez, and ils étaient, and elles étaient. All right. And so that becomes our imperfect form of être, to be. All right, just keep that in mind. It's a little different, but typically we can just take that nous root, put the ending on it, and there you go. Let's do some examples now. Now that we have our basics down, let's do some examples. I want to use 3 sentences. Here's a sentence to just kind of demonstrate what we're talking about in the imperfect. When I was young, I liked French food. I'm not sure that was true for me, but hey, we'll use it as an example. So I don't think I knew what French food was back then, but when I was young, I liked French food. Now, this is cool because we have 2 imperfect verbs in the same sentence. When I was young, was is imperfect because that was ongoing. And I liked, that's imperfect because that was ongoing. Okay? So let's put this whole thing into the imperfect. We have this. Quand j'étais jeune, j'aimais la cuisine française. Okay, I'll say that again. Quand j'étais jeune, j'aimais la cuisine française. There you go. 2 imperfect verbs in 1. All right, let's do another example. She used to work at the school. She used to work at the school. So we take travailler, to work. We put that nous root that we would normally use in the present tense, and we just simply put a new ending on it, and we get this. Elle travaillait à and we just simply put a new ending on it, and we get this. Elle travaillait à l'école. Elle travaillait à l'école. All right. Now here's one. This one is going to mix the imperfect with the preterite, or the passé con passé. All right, what we learned before. So watch this. This is interesting because you're going to have a lot of sentences that mix those 2 past tense. forms. So we were cooking dinner when they arrived. All right, we were cooking an ing in the past with was or were. Ing in the past is going to be imperfect. Okay, so we were doing that. That was ongoing when they arrived. Now they arrived. That was it happened overdone. It was over and done with, right? So that is the other passé con passé, the other form that we learned before how to say it in the past. So here's what we would get in French. We put on the to prepare, we put the imperfect ending, which would be this: Nous préparions le dîner quand ils sont arrivés. Remember, arrivé is one of those that uses être to say the past. Remember, arrivé is one of those that uses être to say the past. So once again, nous préparions le dîner quand ils sont arrivés. All right. Now, mes amis, that is how we do the imperfect tense. So you guys can do this. Just practice it. You can knock it out. You got it down. It's easy. Just learn that set of endings and you got it. Well, mes amis, I hope you will come and visit us at our Teespring shop and support our channel by purchasing a language tutor hoodie or a shirt or a coffee cup or something like that. And they make good gifts too as well. And also definitely come by and check out the Language Tutor French podcast. Currently working on getting new episodes.
When you have the perfect response in your head, but your fingers just can't keep up. We've all been there. Typing, deleting, retyping.
Bonjour, mes amis, bienvenue. Hey, my friends, welcome back to the Language Tutor French. It's good to see you. I'm glad to have you on this episode. We're doing a little series of new tenses. And so This lesson and the next one are going to go together, okay? Bonjour, mes amis, bienvenue. Hey, my friends, welcome back to the Language Tutor French. It's good to see you. I'm glad to have you on this episode. We're doing a little series of new tenses, and so this lesson and the next one are going to go together, okay? I'm going to cover the passé récent with you in this episode and in the next because I'm going to use them in two different ways, okay? Not difficult though. You're going to like this. It's going to be cool because you're going to be able to bring this into your conversations. And I think this is really going to help you out. So let's jump right in and talk about what is the passé récent. First thing I want to tell you is that this is something has just happened. Okay, so think about in English, something has just happened. You're using the word just, okay? And it's right now, okay? Now, this present form is something that is describing a current state, okay? It's kind of right now, or it's very recently, it just happened. Now, later on in the next episode, we'll be taking it back a little bit. But in this one, it's the current state, and it's talking about what has just happened right now, okay? So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we're talking about. We're using the word just and, well, the English just. We're trying to translate that concept. Let me say it that way. So I'm going to show you how to do this in French, okay? Well, let's jump right in. I want to give you some examples of what I'm talking about. Now, I'm going to use 3 sentences in this episode. Now, I want to use these 3 sentences to demonstrate the structure, the idea, the concept of what we're talking about. And I'm going to use these in this episode and the next, okay? Here are the 3 sentences. First of all, I've just finished my homework, okay? Now it has just happened. That's the current state right now. I've just finished my homework. Okay, so we're just talking about how things are right now. Here's the next one. She has just told me. Okay, did you hear about something? She has just told me. Okay, so it has just happened right now. That's the present state. All right, and the third sentence I want to use is Robert has just left. Okay, just now happened. It's the current state of being is he has just left. Okay, now that you have 3 examples of what we're talking about in French, what kind of sentences we're making, I want to tell you that these sentences, this structure, the passé récent, is going to use this verb, venir, to come. Okay, it's going to use this sentences, this structure, the passé récent, is going to use this verb, venir, to come. Okay, it's going to use this verb as a part of the structure. So for that reason, I want to go over this verb in the present tense again. So let's put up our chart right there and let's look at the conjugations of this verb in the present tense because that's what we're using. So first of all, the je form and the tu form are going to be the same. Je viens, tu viens, And then for the il, elle, and on form, we're going to actually just change that S to a T. You guys saw that coming. Okay, so il vient, elle vient, on vient. Now up on the top right, nous venons, we come. Conjugations of this verb in the present tense, because that's what we're using. So first of all, the je form and the tu form are going to be the same. Je viens, tu viens. And then for the il, elle, and on form, we're going to actually just change that S to a T. You guys saw that coming. Okay, so il vient, elle vient, on vient. Now up on the top right, nous venons, we come. Okay, and then vous form is going to be venez with that typical easy ending on there. And then at the bottom right, we've got the ENT ending that we normally put on there. All right. So now that we've reviewed these present tense conjugations, we're ready to start the structure. So if you need
Vienne,
to hit pause and go over these really quick, feel free to do so. All right, but now that we have that done, let's jump right in. Let's bring up that first sentence that we did a while ago, and that is, I've just finished my homework. Okay. We're going to put that into French. Now, what I'm going to do first is conjugate venir, to come. I'm going to conjugate that with je, with I. So what we're really saying is, I come to finish my homework. I think in English, we might relate this to, I have come to the realization. We use the verb come that way. So maybe this kind of helps you relate to what the concept, the mind frame that we're in French with that English example. I'm not sure. I hope I'm helping you. But anyway, so we're really saying, I come to finish my homework. I have come to do that, but we're just using the present tense. Je viens de finir. Finir mes devoirs. Okay, so I come of, we're using of or from, finir mes devoirs. Je viens de finir mes devoirs. Now, you might also look at like this, I come from finishing, because, sometimes we can think of that infinitive unchanged verb as an ing, gerund. Sometimes we can think of them that way. So I come from finishing my homework. All right, now let's look at that second sentence we did a while ago. She has just told me. All right, so really what we're saying is, she comes from telling me. But what is the me go? It's actually going to go right before to tell, me to tell. So it's going to look like this. Elle vient de me dire. Elle vient de me dire. Okay. She comes from me to. Elle vient like this. Elle vient de me dire. Elle vient de me dire. Okay. She comes from me to tell, or telling is what we're saying. Okay. So when you bring in that object, me or you or her or him, that's where it's going to go. All right, now let's look at that third sentence. Robert has just left. Robert comes from leaving, is what we're saying. Robert vient de partir. Robert vient de partir. Okay. Now, mes amis, that is how we do the passé récent in the current state, the present state. All right. In the next lesson, I'm going to show you how we do this in the past state. Okay. Well, mes amis, thanks for hanging out with me. Please check us out on the Language Tutors French podcast and also on the website, languagetutor.co, and you can get downloadable written practices right there. You can just download.
Still applying for jobs without tech skills? Let's fix that. Learn Python, SQL, Power BI, and more on DataCamp. It's hands-on.
Bonjour, mes amis, bienvenue. Hey, my friends, welcome back to the Language Tutor French series. Well, I'm really glad you're with me on this episode. This is the third video in a row where we're talking about another tense, a new tense in French. Now, the last time we were together, we learned the passé récent, and it was really in that current state of being, as things are right now. Well, in this one, I'm going to take it a step further into the passé récent in the past, in the way something was, okay? Now, some people may call this the past perfect indicative. In the last video, present perfect indicative, kind of not. But anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about. Really quick, though, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. I have been seeing some donations roll in here for our YouTube channel, The Language Tutor. And, you know, on behalf of myself and our team, Robin, Jenny, and our other behind the scenes guys, I just want to say thank you from all of us for your many donations. And we're just blown away by your support and the loving and kind comments that we get about the lessons. We love it. Thank you so much. And if you want to donate, just click the tab right down there. It's about, and then you'll see the link to donate to the channel. We just use it to help out our channel. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much. But let's get rolling with this lesson, okay? Now, the passé récent is, again, something has just happened. That was the last lesson. Now, move that whole concept to the past. Something had just happened. Okay, let's start by looking at those three sentences that we used last lesson, okay? The first one was, I've just finished my homework. I've just done that right now. That's my current state. I can go and do whatever I want now. Also, it was, she has just told me. She has just told me. I already heard. Thank you. And Robert has just left. Okay. Let's take that and convert the English so that it sounds like what we're doing in this lesson. Instead of right now, this is what has happened, it's the current state, we're going to say this was the way it was at that time. So let's change these. I've just finished my homework. I had just finished my homework. At that time, this was the state of being. I had just finished my homework. I'm telling you something that's going on. I don't know what happened, but what were you doing? I had just finished my homework. Yeah, okay, that's what was up. Now, she has just told me, as you can guess, we're going to switch one word. She had just told me. Yes, she had just told me. That had just happened at that time in the past. Robert has just left. Robert had just left. Robert had just left. Okay. So that's what we're doing in French. Now, the last time we were together, I told you that we use the verb venir to imply someone has come from doing something. Okay, this is not going to make a whole lot of sense to you, probably in English if you try to translate it, but it makes sense in French, don't worry. Sometimes you just get one of those concepts where it's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense, but it does in that language. It may not in English, but it does in that one. Okay, so we're actually going to take the verb venir again, and here's the chart. We're going to use those conjugations again, but now we're actually going to use the imperfect conjugations of this. So what I want to do first is review the imperfect conjugations for you so you'll know how to use those in context in just a second. So here are the imperfect conjugation. Je venais. We're going to take that root that we talked about in the imperfect lesson, and we're going to put these endings on it. So we've got VEN, and we're simply putting AIS. And as you know, the tu form is the same, so it's VENAIS. And the il, elle, and on form right down here is going to be the same, except for, yes, that T. The S becomes a T. All right, you can probably fill in the rest of this chart now, but we'll go ahead and put it up there. The nous is going to be the same root with IONS in it. The vous form, same thing with IEZ. And then we have AIENT for the il and elle form right down there in the bottom right, okay? So here's your review of the verb venir, to come, in the imperfect tense, okay? So this is the word we're going to use. Now, let's jump into those sentences. We'll clear the chart and we'll put the sentence. Now, let's jump into those sentences. We'll clear the chart and we'll put the sentence up. I had just finished my homework. All right. That was the situation in the past. So all we have to do, mes amis, is we have to simply take the verb venir. Last time in the passé récent, last episode, we put it in the present tense. We just have to change it to imperfect. So we get this: Je venais de finir mes devoirs. Put it in the present tense. We just have to change it to imperfect. So we get this: Je venais de finir mes devoirs. Je venais de finir mes devoirs. All right. That's how you say, I was coming from finishing my homework, is a good way to look at it. Okay. That was the situation. All right. Let's look at that next sentence. She had just told me. Now, again, we're going to put everything like we did in the last episode. That m is going to come at the end right before the verb. And we're simply just going to put the venir in the past with elle. So we get elle venait de me dire. Elle venait de me dire. All right. She was coming from me telling, is what you get. And let's do that last one. There's Robert had just left. Okay. You're probably saying this before I am because you're going, oh, yeah, I get this now. Robert venait de partir. Robert venait de partir. And that's it. Mes amis, that is how we do the passé récent in that past mode. All right.
So I'm writing an essay on cats. Cats in art history. I'm an art history major.
Bonjour, mes amis, bienvenue. Hey, friends, welcome back to the Language Tutor Friend. Someone is going to do something. We can just use the verb to go and the infinitive verb, and that definitely works. But we also want to know the future tense to talk about things that, here's the key word, will happen. Yes, the key word is will. So basically, that's what we're talking about. Somebody will do something. A couple of examples might be, I will be a teacher one day. She will live in Paris one day. That's her dream. And so that's what we're talking about, will. All right. So there's not really a good translation in French for the word will by itself. And so we don't really just say that. In English, we just throw in the word will and there you go. It's pretty easy language to learn. But in French, we have to do things a little bit differently. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the infinitive verb. So for example, travailler, which means to work. We're actually going to leave that infinitive verb just like it is. Now, at that point, we just add an ending to the infinitive verb. No big deal. Not a big deal at all. So let's go right to our chart and let's put those endings on the chart right here. Now for the je form, I will do something, the ending's going to be AI. We're going to use a S for the tu form. And for the il, elle, on form, we're going to use a. Now, up on the top right for the nous form, we're going to use ons, on. And I bet you can guess what the vous form is. It's easy, right? It's real easy to, easy. Okay. And then on the bottom right, we have en, o-n-t. Okay, great. Now, those are our endings. Let's clear the chart and let's look at some examples. Look at this verb, to listen, écouter. Now, I want to put the forms of this verb on there so you can see how we're doing this. So leave écouter just like it is, and let's put the ending. So je form would be écouterai, écouterai. So notice I've left the ER there, didn't take it off like we do when we conjugate, and I just stuck the ending right on there. It's pretty easy, isn't it? It's pretty easy. All right, so same thing for the tu form, écoutera. And for the il, elle, on form, écoutera also. Nous écouterons, vous écouterez, and il and elle form, the they form is écouteront. All right, so really easy. We're just throwing endings on the verb. We don't have to take anything off. Now, I want to show you one other verb that's pretty much following the same thing, but we have to just remember one slight little change, okay? Let's look at the verb vendre, to sell. Now notice this verb ends with an RE. So when, we have a lot of verbs that end in RE in French. So when we have a verb in French that ends in RE, just take off the E at the end and leave the R. Okay, so just leave the R, just take off the E. And now we have a nice little stem there that we can use to put the endings on it and change it to the different forms. All right, so let's look at this. So I will sell. Yeah, I will sell this car one day. Je vendrai. All right, tu vendras. Il, elle, on vendra aussi. Nous vendrons. Vous vendrez. And ils, elles vendront. All right, so just take off the E, put the ending on there with verbs end in RE. Okay, now we have to talk about those irregular verbs. We know there always has to be a troublemaker. So there are few verbs in French that say, hey, we're going to do things differently because we just like to be our own different person, our own different verb. We're going to be different. All right. So let's take a minute to look at some of those different verbs. One of them is this one, être. Now, être is going to completely take a different root. It's going to take the root SER. So once you have the root SER, we just simply put the ending on it. So je serai, I will be. Tu seras. Ils, elles, on. Sera, nous serons, vous serez, and ils and elles seront. Now that we've seen être, let's change it to avoir, to have. Now, avoir is going to take the root A-U-R. So I will have, j'aurai. You will have, tu auras. Il, elle, on aura. Nous aurons. Vous aurez. And ils and elles auront. All right, yeah. Have, j'aurai. You will have. Tu auras. Il, elle, on aura. Nous aurons. Vous aurez. And ils and elles auront. All right, yeah. Pretty easy. Once you get the root, you're good to go. All right, now I want to show you another irregular one, and that's the verb aller, to go. And again, aller is going to take on this completely different root. It's going to use an IR. So the je form would be irait. The tu form would be ira. And you can probably fill in the rest of these, I know, because you're already seeing the pattern here. The il, elle, and the on form is.
Sometimes you need a coach. A coach to guide you.
Ira. The I, you can probably fill in R. So the je form would be irait. The tu form would be ira. And you can probably fill in the rest of these, I know, because you're already seeing the pattern here. The il, elle, and the on form is ira. The nous form, we'll do nous first at the top. Iront. And the vous form is irait. And the il and elle form is iront. All right. Well, mes amis, once you see the pattern and you get those endings down, it's really not that hard to do the future tense. And just remember, this is when you're saying will. Something will happen. I will do something. Someone will be somewhere. Whatever. Anytime you're going to say will for the future tense, that's going to be this tense. Now, if you're going to say I'm going to do something, someone is going to do something, use the verb aller. Je vais travailler. Il va écouter. He's going to listen. So use that structure when you're saying someone, you're really going to say they're going to do something. You can stick with that structure. All right, so now you have two ways that you can use to say something's going to happen in the future. Whether you're going to do something or it will happen is great. All right, so now you have some new tools to pull into your French conversation. And hey, guys, thanks for hanging out with me on this episode. And hey, remember to practice with me on the podcast. You just look up the Language Tutor French, join the podcast there. And hey, if you want to